You have to be kidding. Well, this is very interesting. I wonder if they came back. I'm gonna see if I can find a queen, because that happened about a year ago and there was a queen just on the ground. Sometimes I've really impressed myself. So no kidding. I just happened to notice a group of bees over here, and sure enough, check it out if you can see her. I got the queen in there. All right, folks, here we go. So hey, it's Saturday, March 22nd, 1:45 in the afternoon, 79 degrees, 32%, and it is officially the second day of spring. So I don't plan on conducting an in-depth inspection of the hives today. I am gonna take a look at, I believe, number 13 to see where the queen cell they developed about a week or so ago, to see kind of where that is. So obviously I'm inside the shed or the honey house, and why is that, right? So this is why. I went through and heavily waxed all of these supers, but I plan on adding a box to probably most hives. There's one or two that are slowly building up, so they're probably not the best candidate for another box, but most of them are. Let's get out into the bee yard. I'll show you the activity. It is a beautiful day. The bees are flying a lot. I was out there earlier, but I'll show you all that. And then really, I'll explain what I plan on doing to entice the bees to get up into the new box, to draw out all the frames, and I'll show you what that looks like too with the heavy wax that I applied to it. And hopefully within the month, they're fully drawn out and we can start running those as supers. All right, as promised, just a quick look and I'll walk down the line. This is really nice to see with number one. It looks like some of the frames I added a week or so ago with a lot of capped brood have probably hatched. Obviously the best way to determine that is by getting into them, but just the increase of front entrance activity is nice to see. So I was out here during the week just to really gauge entrance activity, to kind of use that as a determining factor to figure out which hives are probably the best candidates for the deep boxes. And that's going to be number 19. So this one right here, number 14 right next to it, 15, shoot, maybe even number 5 just looking at this right now, and then number 3 and 9 down here. But look at, I mean, just look and listen to this activity. This is amazing. All right, we're about to do this. And just to put things into perspective, I got all the boxes out here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the plan today. Add these 9 10 frame mediums to 9 of the colonies, which should be all but 1 or 2. We'll see how that kind of shakes out. And there's 1 or 2 that don't really need a medium right now. So I'll show you what I plan on doing with some of the bait frames, explain that. Nothing new, pretty common practice to get bees to kind of work new equipment, but I'll show you that here in a second. All right, so this is number 2 and then number 2 position. And yes, just judging by the first look, this is a colony that I would imagine needs some space. And in fact, I reversed them probably early in the month, so I'm gonna re-reverse them, get the deep on the bottom, medium up top, and then add the new medium. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a second. I know it's probably not going to come up with the amount of bees on the cage, but no kidding, found an unmarked queen. So I'm going to get her marked, get that straightened out, and then add the second medium like I've been talking about. All right, like usual, give her a few minutes to dry. I'm marking the queens that I find this time of year with green, as you can see. I'm pretty confident they haven't swarmed, so this may have just been one of last year's queens that I just didn't mark for one reason or the other. And this is all I'm doing. I'm pulling the 3 center-ish frames from this medium. I'm gonna center these and then take the 3 frames from the new box and just kind of put them on the outside of this one. And the idea is, since those frames have brood on it, that'll entice the colony to move up and start drawing that out. And at the same time, we have had some cooler evenings, overnight temps, and with the brood in the center, the heat should continue to rise up the middle and keep all the brood warm. All right, let's get her released. Hopefully she doesn't take her sweet time like most of them to climb out of the marking tool here. And it looks like she is. I don't know why that is, but it's pretty common. All right, there she goes. And she's down in there. I didn't plan on showing this much, but just a quick look at 19. Split the boxes. Medium's on the bottom, so I'm gonna reverse them. Oh yeah, no kidding. Check out the comb in between the boxes. That's probably because I have a shallow frame like a dummy, but I don't see any Varroa, so that's pretty cool. All right, this is pretty interesting. So 19 still. Found another unmarked queen. So pretty puzzled about that, but I'm gonna get her marked, do the same thing I did for the previous, and move on to the next one. All right, it's like deja vu. So about to do the exact same thing I did for the previous colony and move on to the next one. All right, let's get her released. This is not what I thought I'd be doing today, but you know, there she is. I just need you to go down in there. Sometimes you gotta help them. All right, here down at 14, just a quick first look. This should be a little easier. I did not reverse these. I'm just gonna go through, check a few things, and then add the second medium box, moving 3 frames up, adding the 3 new frames to this box, mainly on the outside, moving the established frames, assuming brood frames, to the center, just like the other ones, and hopefully that's all right. No surprises on this one. Queen right with a marked queen, and she's doing a fantastic job. Ton of drones in this colony. This previous frame being a shallow because I just did kind of dumb things last year. Decent amount of queen cups. None of them are actually queen cells. So, like I said earlier, same process. I'm just gonna move 3 nice frames from, look at all that drone cell. It's interesting. From this colony into, or I'm sorry, from this box into the top box that I'm about to add. I'm gonna take a look at number 17 last. I marked this last week. I found a developing queen cell, so that's why. So up next, same process, same flow, is number 13. All right, this is pretty interesting. Just finished going through number 13 twice. They definitely don't need another box. In fact, it looks like they may have gone queenless. I'm gonna look back in my notes to see what I indicated last week. I don't think I had any queenless hives last week, but I need to take a look at that and kind of figure out what's going on. I'm gonna mark them with a brick. Let's see. Trying to get queen right, possibly queenless, and then probably grab a few frames from one of the stronger colonies, 2 or 3, and add it to this one in hopes they can make a queen over the next 2 weeks. It seems like I have identified a case of mistaken identity. So according to Hive Tracks, 17 is queen right, so I'm about to get into them. 13, the one that I just went through, was queenless last week, and I made a note of 1 developing queen cell on the left side right quadrant of frame number 2. So I'm going to go back in there and take a little closer look at frame number 2, left side right quadrant, and see if I can determine maybe a queen hatched out and they tore down the cell, but sometimes there's like just a little evidence left. And then I'm gonna leave a brick on this one to check on them in a week to see if they've become queen right by then. Now down here at 17, in my notes from last week, this was the colony I introduced a marked queen into that came from another hive. I ended up leaving her in the JZBZ queen cage for about 4 days. due to weather, and then released her myself 4 days later. And then the following weekend, because I think I released her on a Wednesday, that following weekend they had accepted her. So just gonna go through this top box rather quickly and determine if they need some more space. First look at number 5. This was a pretty strong hive last year and seems to be the case this year as well. So same thing, not to bore you all to death. Just gonna get into the top box, find a few nice frames, hopefully a brood, bring them up into the top box, add those 3 frames to the outside of this box, and call it a day. Decision point, as you can see, got 2 pretty mature queen cells. So looks like my idea to give them space to prevent swarming might be a little late. So I'm shifting gears to try and find the queen, and if I find her, I'm going to tear these cells down and then add the additional box like the plan has been, but this is a little bit of a curveball. This is exactly what I was hoping to find, the parent queen, and my plan is as follows. So 7, 8 in the top box, 4, 5, and 6 all have queen cells so far. Like, no kidding, developed queen cells that are pretty darn close to maturing in the next week. And considering one of the previous hives, whichever number that was, maybe 13, needs some help, I'm gonna move those entire frames down to that colony to really give them a boost, and especially since they have very mature queen cells. So I may or may not show that just because it's a lot of moving parts, but that's what I plan on doing. All right, I'm moving 4 deep frames. I marked them with a little green marker from, what is this, 5 down to 13 to give them a boost and a chance with I don't even know how many, maybe 4 or 5 queen cells on those 4 frames. So I'm just gonna center these, move some stuff around, and wrap it up on this. I'm also moving the 7th and 8th medium frame from number 5 over into 13, and I'll do the same thing. I'll mark them with a green paint marker. All right, ended up adding a box to number 5. There goes their marked queen. Hopefully that prevents them from swarming, considering their queen right. They needed some space and then moved all the queen cells down into 13. All right, down here at 15, this has been another very strong colony throughout the season. Looks like they're developing a lot of new wax, if you can see that or not. Regardless, I'm gonna do the same thing, go through the box. It almost seems like it's worth conducting a full inspection, even though that was not the plans today, due to the amount of queen cells I found. And the point is, if I didn't find those or do anything, those colonies would have swarmed. Always nice to see. And so far, I don't want to jinx myself, but so far, no queen cells. Okay, got her. All right, I'm just gonna finish up with this box, and then they can use some more space, so add another medium box. All right, let's get 15's queen released. There she goes. And down in there. That's what you want to see. All right, so number 3, obviously queen right. I'm gonna go through the rest of the frames just to make sure they don't have any queen cells developing. There are quite a few frames in the top box, at least 3. A very nice brood that I can bring up into the box that I'm about to add. Yeah, check that out. So no kidding, same process for each of the colonies. I have torn down quite a few queen cups, which isn't terribly unusual. You just don't want to find too many queen cells. And if you don't know the difference, a queen cell has an egg or a developing larva, which means they are about to replace the queen. And if they're still queen right, you have a decision to make. But if you can't find the queen, I would just let things go, because they may have already swarmed. All right, same thing, right? Let's get her released. There she goes. I have no idea why they want to crawl all over the clip. All right, there she goes. Quick first look at number 7. What do you think? They could probably use some extra space. All right, just got done going through the top box. Frame 5 and 8 had some queen cells about halfway through their development cycle, and this is probably why. This seems to be a pretty packed house. So I'm gonna have to go through the bottom box. If I can find the queen, I will tear down those queen cells, and that'll be it. So wish me luck. All right, so obviously I found the queen. Real odd thing going on today. Another unmarked queen. So I'm gonna get them all put back together. They obviously need more space. 5 and 8 is what I think I said earlier, so I'm gonna tear down those queen cells and get her marked, released, and that's it for this one. All right, she's marked, and since I have one more hive to go through, I decided to move frames 5, 8 plus another one to the top box here. I'm gonna add them, and then if this last colony is queen right and they don't need queen cells for whatever reason, right, I'm gonna come back and tear these down. But first, let's get this one released, and then I'll finish up with the last colony down on this side. And actually, since I'm out here, I guess I should go through number 1. I kind of completely skipped over them since they've been kind of struggling so far this year, but we'll see. Gee, do you think number 9, right? Yeah. You think number 9 needs some space? Well, stay tuned and let's find out. That's what you want to see. It is a incredible amount of drone brood on this frame, which is very strange, but the rest of the frames in the top box are looking really nice. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of odd, huh? All right, oh shoot, that was the fastest one yet. All right, so out of the box, queen's released. 3 frames with very mature brood brought to the top box in the center. That's been the status quo all day, and 1 more, maybe 2 more to go, and that's it. I purposefully passed number 1 to start with, which I usually do. This hive has continued to struggle. I believe I moved 3 frames of very nice brood down to this colony last week. There is a visible increase in population size, but the reason I say they continue to disappoint, the top box is practically empty. So I'm just gonna go through them, see if they're queen right. Maybe the queen started to get her act together, but we'll see here in a second. All right, so they're still queen right. She's slowly starting to kind of ramp up a little bit, but I don't know. I try to be patient, because I had a colony like that a few years ago. Very, very slow to build up, and then once the nectar flow hit, I mean, took off. So they don't need any extra space. I'm just gonna leave them alone and check on them in about a week. All right, finally finishing up for the day with number 11, and if I can quickly recap, I ended up moving 5 shallow frames down here quite a few weeks ago, as I was pulling them out of the medium boxes, because that was kind of a dumb idea, really. And then I believe, and this is where memory kind of is not the best thing to go off of, but I believe I added a frame or two. Yeah, that's right, because they were a 3-frame with the feeder. So the bottom box is a 5-frame now, which means I added at least 2 frames from another colony that most likely had very nice brood. So top box is still kind of food stores. They are getting lighter, which is kind of to be expected now. So let's see how the bottom box looks. And since it's only 5 frames, it really shouldn't take all that long. This is another colony that they held on. They actually overwintered this way, well, as a 3-frame, right, because of the feeder. But this queen, I mean, whenever she wants to like really get going, that'd be pretty cool. And this is where it gets tricky when you bring frames over. I'm not sure if this was one of the frames I brought over. There's a pretty good chance it is, but I mean, I see some eggs and small larvae, so the queen's still doing her thing. It would just be nice if she kind of picked up the pace. Yeah, it's right there. And there's highly unlikely that they have, yeah, any swarm cells, but I only have 1 frame to go, and to be expected. So yeah, I don't know. Number 11 is just really slow going, so I'm just keep an eye on them, and maybe they'll explode here soon enough. All right, folks, that does it for me. So it's just after 5 o'clock. I am thoroughly worn out. That was a lot more than I planned to do, but that's just how things go sometimes. So y'all saw I just finished with number 1. I am happy to say I was able to add a box to most colonies except for what? Number 1, 17 and 13. So all but 3. So the rest of the colonies that overwintered with, and minus 11 of course, that overwintered in a deep and a medium received a medium box today, minus these 2, with heavily waxed frames. So I'm really curious to see if that helps the bees draw them out nicely and evenly. You know, that's what I've seen folks say, so I can only hope my bees do the same. Moved 3 frames of brood from the overwintered medium box, which is on the bottom or in the middle, into the top box in the center, with the idea or hope that the brood entices the rest of the colony to start working the top box, and keeping them in the center should keep the brood warm. Not that we're in winter anymore, because technically it's spring, but we have had some cooler evenings still, which is pretty common. For instance, this morning was in the high 30s. Over the next week, the overnight lows is about the same, maybe into the low 40s, until pretty well into April, when the overnight lows really start to increase into the higher, well, the upper 40s and then the low 50s. And that's when we're really going to see the bees take off in population. So one last quick drive-by of the hives for the 3rd week of March. Stay tuned for next week, and that'll be it for this month. All right, just a quick end of the month update, since it's been a few days since I shared anything. So it is Thursday, March 27th. We are officially 7 days into spring. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. Temperature is 69 degrees and the humidity is 22%. So obviously it feels really good. I'm gonna take y'all on a walk over to a few of the swarm traps just to show you that. But before we do so, I've had pretty steady activity on the traps with scout bees. I have not caught any swarms yet, which is pretty unusual, because the last few years I've been catching swarms right around mid-March, which is why I hung the swarm traps a little earlier this year, just in case any colonies swarmed earlier than the previous years. Let's take a walk over to the purple swarm trap, which is right here in the back corner of our property. And as you can see, there's activity. There's scout bees. And that's been consistent for the last week or so. So I'm not really sure when the rest of the swarm's gonna move in, but whenever they're ready, that'd be pretty cool. We'll walk and check the other swarm traps. I have one on the other side of the backyard inside the fence line, and then one at the corner of the property, and then we'll take the usual walk down the path and check out those traps as well. A little less activity on the red trap. A bee just flew into the entrance, but you can definitely tell when you've caught a swarm. And we have a few more scout bees over on this side. So I have three entrances really, but the side two I just closed the dial to where it pretty much acts as a vent. So yeah, they're checking out this one as well. Hopefully it's not too much longer and actually start catching some swarms finally. All right, yeah, practically the same thing. Got a few scout bees checking it out. So hopefully it's not too much longer and I can actually share some clips with y'all of having caught a swarm and show you what that looks like. All right, let's make our way back to the path, but yeah, same thing. Same thing on the yellow trap. They are interested. And honestly, I don't remember when I rebaited them. I think I did so maybe about 2 weeks ago, so they're probably due to be rebaited again. I think I did that maybe around the 15th or so, like right before or a few days before spring. So yeah, let's walk out to the yard, show you the entrances, which is pretty remarkable and incredible to see this many hives overwintered. And judging by the flight activity, again, it's about 4:30 or so. Midday, it is ridiculous, but with the weekend being just a few days away, I'll probably show you all that. Just a midday look at the entrances. Yeah, let's just walk around the front like I typically do. So they are doing well. This one's starting to slowly come a little more alive. The nuke looks like it has nice activity, and the rest of them are looking pretty good. Something interesting to hopefully show y'all if it comes up on camera. It may not because 13's kind of in a shadow now, but I was out here maybe 30 minutes ago just watching the entrances, and it looked like 13 was bringing in pollen. If you don't remember from the previous clip, I moved quite a few frames over that had mature queen cells after I determined they were queenless last weekend. So hopefully one of them hatched and they're bringing in pollen, so they're feeding brood. Let's check out the last two traps real quick. And yeah, same thing. I mean, they are interested. And then the very last one, which is on the street entrance, the white trap. No kidding. All right, folks, like I was saying earlier, just a quick clip of towards the end of the month. I will be out here this weekend to inspect them like usual on Saturday. That has become my rhythm, my schedule for this time of year until things kind of stabilize once the flow really hits, which should be in the next week or two. Typically I'm adding honey supers on April 1st with queen excluders for the purpose of harvesting honey, supering honey, but I gave the colonies a lot of space last week, as y'all saw, and I'm letting them just run free. I don't have any queen excluders in just yet, but this weekend I'm going to gauge the progress they've made in the last week with that added box, and then the 7 frames that they have to work in the top box, and the 3 frames right in the overwinter box, the bottom medium box. And hopefully, right, one can only hope, hopefully they are on some kind of source, some kind of nectar source, to where they're using that to draw out wax. If I can get that new box with the 7 frames, or actually the 10 frames between the 2 boxes, if I can get them all drawn out this season and to where they serve the purpose of capturing a honey crop, I would be super excited. But that's it for now. Stay tuned. The next clip will be from the weekend, which is, again, only 2 days away. That's when I'll be inspecting them for the last time in March. So it's Saturday, March 29th, right after 11 o'clock. The temperature is 74 degrees. The humidity is 66%. And I kid you not, I am walking out here to, unfortunately, a sound I am familiar with, and that is a sound of a swarm in action. Hope y'all can see this because it's staring into the sun, but yeah, no kidding. One of the hives is swarming, so let me put my veil on, get out here, and maybe I can tell which one, right? So yeah, pretty unfortunate. And sure enough, nope, can't tell. And there's a chance it might not be mine. But yeah, hopefully that comes up on camera. Well, it's definitely swarm season. And I am on schedule to check out my hives every Saturday. But as you can see, sometimes even on a weekly basis, it's just not enough. If I had to guess, which is kind of crazy because I was in them a week ago and I did not see any signs of them swarming, but sure enough, it looks like they're probably gonna land. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. They're landing on that tree branch right there. You would think with the 6 swarm traps that I have hanging around the property that have had semi-decent activity over the last week, you'd think they would just go to there, but considering the amount of pine trees we have right over the bee yard, I know what I'm gonna be doing here in a few minutes, and that looks like a big old swarm, so wish me luck. I have a plan thanks to some of the very seasoned beekeepers in the county club. I gave a class on swarm catching back in January, and one of the things I remember that one of the club members shared that manages a ton of hives is grab a frame of brood, a frame of open brood, and put that in a bucket when you go to retrieve a swarm. And she said they just move onto that frame and into the bucket very quickly. So I've never tried that before. So that is definitely something I'm gonna try this year and today. And then whenever these bees settle down, I will get back into the rest of the hives for a weekly inspection. And considering the activity that was coming off of number 9, yeah, number 9, I have a feeling that's the hive that swarmed. But what I was going to say before I came out and heard this and discovered this swarm is today's plan was really to check all the hives that I added the medium box to last week and moved a few frames around to really entice them to draw out, just to see what kind of progress they've made in the last week. I will get to that after I get to this swarm, because they're about to settle in, and considering the amount of bees in the air, I definitely do not want to lose them. So stay tuned and I'll share whatever I can here in a little bit. Oh my goodness. So I'm walking out to the yard to grab some of the usual equipment for getting that swarm, and check this out. We have another one. That one looks equally as massive. And walking out to the yard, like I was saying, I mean, you cannot overlook it. Actually, they were resting right there. So damn, it looks like they're about to, it looks like they're moving on too. Oh man. All right, well, I'm gonna give that a few minutes. So no kidding, I just walked by them and they were on this this tree. So, all right, well, TBD on that one, but yeah, swarm number 2 as well. And I don't think it's this one, because this one's settled down, or has settled down. Walk out there and look at that again. But yeah, this one should be semi-easy to get. Hopefully y'all can see that. Yeah, that one should be semi-easy to get. And now it's a matter of figuring out where, let's just call it number 2. See where they're settling down. They're moving. This is kind of cool to watch. So here, I'll try and show you as best as I can. So they were right there, as y'all saw less than a minute ago. And now they're over here, and I understand this is probably gonna be hard to see. But yeah, where are they going? All right, well, hey, stay tuned, and hopefully I have something to show you. They're moving towards the trap. Actually, let's go take a look at that real quick. I've had enough bees checking out that trap. Maybe. Oh shoot, this is kind of cool. No kidding. So they're all right there. If you can see that. And they're moving over here. So I might actually have the opportunity to watch a swarm move into a trap. Hopefully, right? Maybe not. Damn, they're like way over here now. Ah, that's unfortunate, because our property ends right there, and it's kind of hard to get to. And there's the trap, and there goes the swarm, and that's just how it is sometimes. Man. All right, like I was saying in the intro, so I'm gonna try and find one decent frame of brood. I'm down here in 17 for that purpose. I'm gonna try and be quick, and then I have a frame. I'm gonna give them half-drawn frame to replace the one I'm gonna take. All right, so this one still is queen right. I had my concerns because there's just a ton of drones. There's this frame, right? Frame number 1. So this side here, as you can see, a lot of drone brood. No queen cells, so that's good. Not terribly sure what's going on with this one. I'll have to look back on my notes, but I think this is the one that I introduced this queen to after a little bit of a mix-up in one of the weekly inspections. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull a frame of brood, like I had said, put it in the bucket, and try and get this swarm out of the tree. Let's get 17's queen released, and let's get busy with this swarm. All right, let's see what we can get done. So again, using a frame with some open brood. Again, this is a first, so wish me luck. All right, so quick update. It is 12:30. I am still going at it. I've managed to get quite a few bees in the box, and what I'm gonna do for swarms, I'm gonna move the number that's usually on the right side to the left side, just as a reminder or marker that that's a swarm that I caught or relocated, right? So I am actually not done. There is still a decent sized swarm on the branch, and if you can tell or not, it's a little higher than it was, because standing on the second to the top rung with this 20-foot pole fully extended, I can barely reach them, unfortunately, and I'm not too sure if I have the queen or not, because I've gone through that box a few times hoping to find her. I haven't seen her. It's been about 5 to 10 minutes since I dumped the last bucket of bees into the hive, so Since it's been a few minutes, I'm gonna go through them again, assuming they've settled, but that's still a decent amount of bees up there. And due to how long this is taking, and with how my shins feel, standing on the top rung or resting my shins on the top rung so I don't fall, I am seriously thinking about buying one of the tree arborists slingshots like a few local beekeepers have, because I now see how much simpler that is. If you really don't have to leave the ground, you can shoot a rope over the branch, pull a bucket up with a frame maybe, and the bees would just migrate into the bucket onto the frame. So again, I'm gonna go through the box here in a second. Hopefully I can find a queen. If not, I will just continue to knock a few bees down at a time. You have to be kidding. This looks, yep, they're in the process of swarming too. Oh my goodness. All right, just a quick update. This is, let's see, number 7. Yeah, number 7 is definitely swarming. This may or may not come up on camera. I point the camera to the sky, but you can definitely hear them moving through this area, which is becoming more and more common. I do not see them settling anywhere just yet. However, hopefully my day will get a little better. And I say that because, damn, okay, well, there's more activity on the yellow trap than there has been. So I'm thinking and hoping they are moving this way. TBD, I'll keep you updated, of course. If I can catch a swarm in one of my swarm traps today, that would be fantastic. But I wonder what it is with this area. They love this area, and I don't think I got it on camera earlier, but this tree right there, that's where one of them was settling. And within about 10-15 minutes, they already moved on. All right, well, found them. Just follow the buzzing. All right, that one is way more manageable to get to, so I'm gonna give them some time to settle in. I might just drag the ladder out here, move one of the swarm traps closer, and see if I can entice them just to move into the trap. What a day. It's a day of swarms. All right, we are back in here. Yeah, just a quick update on, I guess, what I'm gonna call swarm number 3. That is a decent sized swarm. So I'm about to grab a pro nuke that has 5 drawn frames, sit it on top of the ladder here, close proximity, and see if they move down into it. All right, down here at 15, to basically do what I said I was gonna do earlier, I am going to borrow a deep frame with open brood in an effort to entice the swarm over in the tree to move down into this pro nuke. And of course, I'm going to take a nice frame and replace the frame of brood I'm about to borrow. All right, I don't know what's going on today, so no kidding, it's probably been about 10 minutes. And check this out. The swarm, as you saw, was right there, right above the ladder. And I mean, you can't move fast enough sometimes. So let me walk around, maybe check some of the swarm traps, but they've already moved on in just a matter of minutes. I mean, I couldn't get the pro nuke together fast enough. So, all right, well, stand by. Hopefully I can find them. Oh, this is very interesting. I wonder if they came back. I'm gonna have to get into 7 very soon. In fact, that's the next thing I'm gonna do. I got the taller ladder out. I don't even know why I didn't think of that. And actually looking at old swarm number 1 here, seems like there's more bees back on the branch than there was about an hour ago. Needless to say, this is not how I thought today was gonna go at all. Yeah, judging by what I saw and looking at this now, it looks like that was a practice swarm. So again, they are on my agenda regarding up next. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna see if I can find a queen, because that happened about a year ago and there was a queen just on the ground. Easiest split I've ever made. So wish me luck. Sometimes I've really impressed myself. So no kidding, I just happened to notice a group of bees over here, and sure enough, check it out if you can see her. I got the queen in there. So I'm gonna be splitting number 7 today, very, very soon. All right, down here at number 7, making a split. That might be one of the reasons they conducted a practice swarm today. I have a pretty good feeling there's more than one queen cell. So I'm just gonna go through the 8 frames and move 4 frames, 4 very nice frames like this one, over into what is going to be hive number 6. So I'm gonna do some cleanup just for some of this bird comb. This is a very nice packed out frame. So again, moving 4 frames from number 7. I'm gonna leave any queen cells that I find, since they've already told me they want to swarm, and that'll be it. I'm not even going to go through the top 2 boxes, the 2 mediums, because if they have another queen cell, that's completely fine, since I have the parent queen. So I'm just going to move them down the line. I'll show you that. Release the queen, add a feeder, and that's it for this one. All right, let's get number now 6. Let's get number 6's queen released. Oh, man, what a day, huh? There she is. And there you go. All right. And number 6 is over here, comfortably between 14 and 17. And like I said, any swarms I catch or any splits, I'm gonna move the number marker over to the left side, just as a reminder. And then I put on the entrance blocker just for the time being, since I'm back here working on trying to get the rest of swarm number 1 out of the tree. All right, it is now 3:30. I called in for some backup.
Away.
I got Paul over here with his slingshot. And
the branch is so soft.
Yeah, that branch is pretty thin. It's not gonna hold the weight of the bucket, so try something else here in a second once they settle. All right, success. Just because Paul came over, that's why I was finally able to get him. So we are going to let the rest of the bees settle back to the branch, which it's still, yeah, it's still a decent amount. But having the queen now, they should all eventually come into the colony. All right, just a quick update. So it's about 4:30. I've been out here since maybe 11, so at least over 5 hours. I am almost done because there's still a decent amount of bees in the tree. However, as y'all saw, I have the queen, so success, right? However, my plan for today, due to the swarming, the excessive swarming, I was not able to get into the hives at all, as y'all saw, right? So, quick summary. Hive number 6, That's the swarm from hive number 7. That was the practice swarm. I was able to find the queen on the ground. Super cool. That happened last year or maybe the year before. And then I brought out some equipment. So 4, which is, what is this? 18, 10, and number 8. And like I said earlier, I moved the number tag to the left side to indicate that's either going to be a swarm or a split that I'm going to make. So I will say this much. I will be out here tomorrow, probably for quite a few hours, to make at least 4 splits to hopefully curb the hive's appetite to swarm. So stay tuned. A little longer late March video than I anticipated on making, but then again, I did not anticipate on chasing 2 swarms and watching another swarm fly off into the great unknown today. Were they all mine? I don't know, but I will let y'all know tomorrow when I'm out here and I go through the hives, because I know for a fact I had all marked queens last week. So if I find any hives, either 1 without a queen, right, or 2 with an unmarked queen, that is probably one of the 2 swarms from today. All right, finishing up with what is now number 12. This is the swarm that was in the tree. And let's get this queen released, and I will feed them tomorrow. All right, there she goes. And as you can see, I was able to recover a lot of bees from this swarm, and there's still a decent amount going back to that branch. I may try one more time before I call it quits for the day. All right, last one for the day. It is just after 5 o'clock. I'm officially whooped. I am done chasing bees in trees today, and I'll show you how this one's looking, which has, again, yeah, become number 12. Let me get over here, did some trimming, got rid of those annoying trees. I held on to them for quite a while, but today I just couldn't take it anymore. Y'all can see that. Still cluster of bees up there, but I have, no kidding, hit them with the bucket on that, I think it's like a 20-foot painter's extension pole. I've hit them probably 24 times, like no exaggeration. And the reason I decided to call it quits is this very last time I hit them, I got like not even like half a cup of bees in the bucket. So they are on their own. They'll find a way home, or they'll find a new home. As y'all saw, I have the queen down to number 12, and I'm gonna leave them. I was thinking about this. I'm gonna leave the entrance completely closed up, like you see right here, for the night. I'm gonna come out tomorrow morning and then open them up. And then same thing with number 6 here, which again was the split from number 7's practice swarm. I'm just gonna leave them closed up for the night. The overnight temps aren't terribly hot, so they shouldn't bake in there. And then again, tomorrow morning I'll come out and open them up. All right, well, there you have it, folks. Last Saturday in March, not how I thought today was gonna go at all. In fact, I may have said this earlier, but I thought by adding the boxes last week to a lot of the very strong hives and inspecting the hives and not seeing any queen cells last week, I thought they'd be good to go at least for another week, but I could not get out here fast enough. I'm pretty confident. So again, I'm gonna get out here tomorrow, but I'm pretty confident number 9. Number 9 was the swarm in the tree. And then I know for a fact number 7 was the practice swarm, because I caught the queen right, and they're number 6. So my curiosity really is at number 9 to see if they have a queen. And number 7 I know has at least 1 developing queen cell in the bottom box. I didn't look at the top boxes like y'all saw. And yeah, anyway, we'll see tomorrow how the rest of the colonies are looking. All right, here it is, Sunday, March 30th, right at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty cool. Temperature is about 60 degrees. Humidity's high at 95%. And I'm coming out here just to do 2 simple things. which is open up the 2 hives from yesterday. And I was about to make a comment saying I don't think the bees are going to be flying given the temperatures, but that would have been a false statement, and I'll show you. They're already flying and enjoying the weather. So I'm just gonna let the camera roll, open those 2 hives, and come back out here in a few hours once it really warms up to go through the rest of the hives and possibly make a few splits today. Okay. That's number 12, which I don't remember what I said from yesterday. I think that was number 9 that swarmed. And then number 6, this one should be the split from number 7. All right, hey, here we go. So it's about 9:45, 70 degrees, 83% humidity, and I'm out here to get through the hives for the week. Obviously, yesterday, the unexpected multiple swarms completely threw off my plans of inspecting the hives. So again, that's what I'm here to do today. And I'm looking for where the swarm was, and surprisingly, okay, there's still a few bees. I'll show you that, but as y'all saw, I opened up the entrance earlier this morning. So let's go take a quick look, and maybe that's all it took for the rest of the colony that stayed in the tree last night to come on down. And hopefully this comes up. There's still a semi-decent amount, way less than this morning, so who knows, right? Maybe the rest of them came down. All right, so again, I'm gonna go through the colonies. I'm gonna make this portion of the month's video, which will be the very last portion, as short as possible. That's the intent. I'm not gonna show you all the usual things. However, I will say this much. That 3rd swarm from yesterday that I witnessed just move through the wetlands and into the great unknown, I am curious if that was one of mine, and the only way I'm gonna figure that out is by going through all the colonies and seeing if a colony does not have a queen and or has a queen cell that is pretty close to being capped, if not capped, to where she will hatch in the next few days, which is typically when hives will swarm, just like number 7. They did that practice swarm. I got very lucky, they returned. I was able to catch the queen on the ground like y'all saw. And then going through number 7, I found a very mature queen cell that should be capped in the next few days. So again, I imagine if that swarm that I watched go through the wetlands was one of mine, that's what I'm gonna find in one of the hives today. And then to wrap things up, just moving down the line, let's see, number 4, number 18, I may have said this yesterday too, number 10 and number 9, those are all ready to go for some splits. And as far as numbering goes, before I forget to mention this, I'm gonna keep the numbers on the right side that were all the overwintered hives. I'm going to move the number to the top left for any swarms that I caught. And then I haven't done this yet, I just thought about it this morning, but for number 4 being one of the splits, or one of the boxes I'm prepared for splits, I'm gonna move the number into the center, right where the logo is, beneath the handle. Right. Another long introduction, which I'm pretty consistent with and good at, right? But that's the plan for today. Weekly inspection that got bumped over from yesterday due to all the swarming activities, and then I will let y'all know if I find a colony that does not have a queen, and of course anything else interesting that I might come across. All right, just got done going through number 1, and I told y'all I'd show you anything interesting. So here I am. I think this is the 8th season, still trying firsts. I got this idea off of it was a European documentary. I think it's on Prime or Netflix or one of those networks. But The idea I got was to clip the queen's wings, or at least one of them. And the concept is, well, she can't fly, so you're not chasing swarms out of trees. And y'all saw how that went yesterday. So considering this queen is not really doing all that great, I decided to start with just the one, unlike other times where I do something new and I do it to all the colonies, and occasionally that has very negative effects. So I'm just going to try this with number one, give it some time, maybe a week, see if the bees kind of detect that, because I also read or watched somewhere that sometimes colonies will reject the queen because now they know something's wrong with her, per se. So I'm just going to keep an eye on number one, get out here next week and or throughout the week and see if she's on the ground in front of the hive. And if the colony doesn't seem to mind, I might start doing this with the rest of the hives, because 6 hours chasing swarms in trees and then watching one move on was not fun. All right, down here at number two, and I had no intent of starting another clip for this video right away, but this is one of the hives, the first hive in line, that I added 3, or actually I guess 4 brood frames from the bottom medium they overwintered with into the top box to get them to draw it out. And that's what they've done in the last week. I'll show you another clip as I go through it, but if they've started to draw out the six new frames in the top box and then the 3 in the medium box, that's exactly what I was hoping for. All right, so I'm on frame number 3, and this is the side facing inside the hive like this, so next to the first brood frame. And yeah, no kidding, you can see that they've started to draw that out pretty nicely. All right, number 2 is queen right. She's right there. I'm gonna check, actually, just to stay consistent, I have one more frame to check. So far, no signs of queen cells. Well, no queen cells, a few queen cups, which is pretty normal for colonies to make. I've been tearing them down as I go. However, a colony can make a queen cup in a day. Otherwise, they're looking great, very strong, packing away some nectar. All good with number 2. Just finishing up on 19. I've said this a lot in the previous years, but sometimes the queen will be on the last place you expect to find her. Very last frame, no business being on this side, no drawn comb, but I saw something recently that people say as soon as you open the box, I go from right to left, and the queens are usually moving away from the light. So open the box and then start on the far side, and you might find the queen a little faster. All right, 14 is queen right, so that's good, right? And she was in the medium box. They are, maybe not this one, it was the previous frame. They are packing away a ton of food. This is interesting, and it'll kind of work itself out once I put the queen excluder in. But a ton of food surrounding that brood comb. So now that I found the queen, I'm going to be able to move through the rest of the box rather quickly. I'm really just checking for queen cells, just in case they have anything in development. Again, tearing down all queen cups, that gives me peace of mind, even though they can make one in a day or two. And I'll just keep y'all posted if I find anything interesting with this colony. Down here at 17, queen right, she is doing her thing in the medium box. I think this is the queen I brought over from another colony, and she's doing good. I'm just gonna go through the rest of the box, keep an eye out for any swarming signs, but with how they've been kind of slow going, I don't really expect to find any, but it's also a really good reason to go through the entire colony. All right, down here at 13, I marked them with a brick last week because I expected or suspected they were queenless, and hoping they have a developed queen this week. All right, just finished up number 5's bottom box. They have one developing queen cell right here where the arrow indicates. Did not find the queen. I'm about to go back through the top 2 boxes and try and find her. And if it's this box, let's see. If it's this box, all those green arrows, if you can see that, are developing queen cells. So again, I may have had a colony swarm yesterday, the one that I was not able to recover. It may have been this one, but I'm gonna go through these boxes one more time just to double check, because the bottom box, they do have day-old eggs. So it's possible she's in one of these boxes and I overlooked her, or it's possible it was one of, well, it was the one colony I saw fly through there. Frame number 4 on Hive 15. Doesn't really get much easier than that. So she's all the way in the top box. That's the second medium. All right, I'm just gonna go through, prevent any sort of swarming activities, do some cleanup because I still have a shallow frame in a medium box, like a real dummy. And yeah, I'll show you anything interesting, especially if I find any queen cells. Well, 15 continues to be one of the more aggressive hives. I think I remember this from last year, which really doesn't make it a fun time to go through them. So far I have not found any queen cells, so that's good. I'm just gonna step away for a second, give them some smoke, and maybe they'll calm down. All right, down here at 3, they have a queen, and they have a few queen cells. And with how many bees are in this colony, and just solid frames of brood, I'm gonna leave her caged, because this colony is a great candidate to make a split with. I haven't really decided how I'm gonna do that just yet. I'm gonna finish the weekly inspections and then come back to this one, and I think 15, I left that queen caged as well. And then if my memory serves me right, number two is a real good candidate to make a split as well. And I brought out enough equipment yesterday to make 4 splits, and that's kind of the goal. So I have 3 candidates identified. I just need to finish up, circle back, and kind of finish that plan with making at least 4 splits today. All right, wrapping things up today. Down here at old number 11. They've been in this nuke for quite a while. In fact, they overwintered as a nuke, and it is time to move into a 10 frame with a feeder. But first I'm going to inspect them just like the rest of the colonies, and hopefully they are ready to be moved. All right, so it's just about 1 o'clock and I'm down here to make a few splits. So number 19, I went back through them, found the parent queen. So I'm gonna grab her, of course, and 4 frames from the deep box. I don't remember if this colony had any developing queen cells in the 2 mediums, but I'll go back through and check the top bars because I marked locations of queen cells with the green paint marker. But I'm gonna move the parent queen and a few frames of brood down here to number 4, which, as you can see, is in about the middle of the yard. Just to keep things straight, I moved 19's parent queen, 4 frames from the deep box, and the top medium, which was the newest, that had 3 established medium frames with brood that I brought up from this box about a week ago. So if we go down here to number 4, I need to release the queen, but 4 nice frames of brood. Same thing in the top, 3 or 4 frames of brood. I am pretty confident they'll do fine. Plus I'm gonna feed them today. So I'm gonna release the queen, and then that's number 4. All right, here we go. I have number 19's queen, which is now gonna be number 4's queen. And there she goes. I was not looking forward to making this split from 19. So just like, what was this other one? Or I'm sorry, what was that, 15. So just like 19 became number 4, number 15 is becoming number 8. So 4 very nice frames from the bottom box, the very top medium box, which was added about a week ago with 3 frames of brood, 3 or 4. And let's get the parent queen released. You can barely see her with all these bees. Let me come around. Let's see, where is she? There she goes. Right there. And down here at number 3, all the angry bees. All the angry bees you see are from number 15. But down here at number 3, to split this one, just checking to see if I still have the parent queen in the clip. And then I'm just going to move 4 nice frames from the deep box. Yeah, she's still in there. And the top medium box down the line to make another colony. And before I forget, this box, the very top box, the one that I would originally move, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 queen cells. So I'm going to leave this one here since they're about to become queenless. I think the bottom box has a queen cell in development too. I marked the top bar, so I'm going to leave that one. And that really gives this hive that I'm intentionally making queenless due to splitting a really good chance of becoming queen right here in the near future. All right, number 3's parent queen is now number 10. All right, got the barrel mixer going with about 60 pounds of sugar to make 12 gallons of 1-to-1 to feed the 2 swarms from yesterday that I hived. Let's see, what else? The 3 splits I made today, and then number 11, which is the one that I moved from a nuke into a 10 frame, well, an 8 frame with a feeder, just to give them a boost because it looks like they need it. So I'm gonna let that thing run for about 20 minutes, which is plenty of time, get the hives fed, and that's it for March. All right, nothing y'all haven't seen before, but I'm just gonna feed the 2 swarms, the 3 splits, and then number 11, who continues to struggle, but this is gonna be my last effort to try and get them moving in the right direction. All right, folks, that does it for me. Very eventful way to end March. Definitely not how I thought the end of March was gonna go. So between yesterday and today, I think I've spent somewhere between 10 and 12 hours out here in the yard. But went from about 12 hives to I think I'm at 18 now. The bees are definitely still irritated from all the activity, probably between the last 2 days. But just a quick look at the yard. That's some quick expansion in a weekend. I'm going back and forth in my head with splitting the hives, especially this time of year. But at the same time, I split them in order to try and prevent some swarming. I need to remember what a lot of the guys in the club do, which they start splitting around very early March. And the only reason I didn't do that was because of some of the weather. I've tried that before, it did not work, again, because of the weather. And I think that's why I've been a little reluctant to split early in March, because of some of the freezing days that we still have. Okay, that's it for me. That's it for March. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. Tune in for April. The nectar flow should be here very, very soon. Give you one long look at the yard. A lot of nice activity, and cannot wait for the nectar flow to hit and really see these hives explode. All right, thanks for watching. That's it for March. See y'all in April.